Hi everyone, how have you all been? Hope you can see me well. I'll explain the lighting situation. Basically, my two studio lights off to the side of me that always light me up, literally right now, just a few seconds ago, I tried to turn them both on, they would not come on. So somehow the battery drained, even though I've not used them for a week. So you'd think that they would maintain some charge, turns out they haven't. So believe it or not, I'm using my phone's flash to kind of light me up so it gives me some light. Otherwise, it would look like this. So using my phone's flash is lighting me up like this. So hopefully you'll get to see some light on my face. So with that said, how you guys all been? Oh, hi Matthew, hi Dark Lord, George Phillips. Oh, George Phillips, that's alright. I'll catch you in the next stream. Or hopefully you can watch this when it's complete and published all the way through. Alright. Spirit Hero, Gwen, Charleston, Zyden. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you very much for joining the stream. It's been a long day today, I'll tell you. Although I will tell you, I've got 2 videos done. My first video done is the Avatar The Last Airbender versus video. It's finally complete, so I'm going to publish it. I'm going to check it, watch it one more time to do a check, then I'll publish it for patrons so they get early access. And I am bringing some of my Patreon perks over to YouTube as well, so that way you'll you'll have YouTube memberships to which will allow you to like get early access to versus videos and watch trailer reactions and things. And I've got emojis which I've made as well for emojis and things. What do they call it? Emojis and badges that you can use. So your names, you can have logos I've made for you. You know, the Eric Carter logos, the eCartman 12 logos, which you can basically have attached right next to your name. So yeah, I'll be doing that. And also I've got the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review done as well. So I just need to make a thumbnail for it and then publish that for you guys as well. Hi Jess, that's okay. I'm glad to see you were able to drop by. Got some drink with me this time. JWK, what were you before? You said you changed your YouTube name. What were you before? Matthew says, what's your beef with Spiral from the Book of Saw? I've seen that movie a while back now. I can't even remember it, to be perfectly honest with you. But I just thought it was bad. I predicted who the killer was. That was one of the biggest things. So I think I described that. That sounds familiar. I think I have said that to you guys already. So yeah, I think I've already reviewed it. I do not like it. Jess says, does everyone miss Caesar? Yeah, Caesar was a great character, but his arc ended in a very satisfying way, I thought. So, yeah. Selena says, hey Eric, what if Marvel gets Edgar Wright to direct Avengers 5 and 6? Well, Edgar Wright is currently busy on making 2 movies, The Running Man and this other movie with Sydney Sweeney. So I don't think Edgar Wright is in a position right now to where he can direct something for the MCU. Kevin, Jacob, Jean, great to see you as well. JWK says, I was Jacob Krajewski. Okay, yeah, I remember you now, yeah. Well, that's interesting, Jacob. Okay, we'll get into the stories in a bit. Let's just wait for more people to come. This live stream, I did do more last minute. Reason why is because it's very hot up here in the attic where I am at. So I had to basically schedule the stream for later in the evening. So it's about 9:30 right now in the evening when I'm doing these streams. Whereas usually I'll do them at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. Now I'm doing it a bit later. Yeah, Jess, it did give me some Last of Us vibes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes did. Fireboy, hi, great to see you here. See, waiting for more people to come into the stream is great. I'm seeing more of you pop into the chat. So, so when you join, definitely give say hi in the chat. What is your favorite and least favorite M. Night Shyamalan movies? My favorite is Split. My least favorite, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Well, he just called it The Last Airbender, didn't he? Bob the Builder says, "Hi Eric, what are your thoughts on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes if you've seen it?" I've just completed my review, so you can see my review soon, and see what you can see what I think then. So, yeah. Okay. Let me just check my notes before we continue. Alright then. Everyone, we're about to start the stream. We're about to start talking about the stories, and as shown in the title of this live stream, we'll be talking about Nicolas Cage first. And Selena, I am not tired. It's just first of all, I've got eczema, and second of all, the lighting. I told you that my studio lights got shut off. It turns out they've got no charge in them. I noticed at the last second, which is annoying because they had plenty of charge in them last I checked. So that's why there's not much light on me. So I've got my phone's light shining its flash on me. If I turn my phone light off, it looks like this, which is even worse. So that's why I put my light on, and it's giving me this rather than, you know, what it was going to. Jacinta says, "Are you going to watch, Eric? Am I going to watch what?" Oh, hi, Rohan. My eczema is getting better, Saeed. It definitely is getting better, especially on my face. But for some reason, it makes my eyes look darker. I don't know why. It's got like a patch around my eyes, and it's not as dark as it looks here. But for some reason, on camera, it does. It's quite bizarre. Okay, so as always, everyone, we're about to get into the stories, and when we do, like I always say, I'm going to be focusing on the stories at hand. I will not be answering your chats. I'll occasionally glance at the chat, but I'm primarily going to be focusing on the story, so this way I don't go off topic and I try to stay on point. The only ways that I will answer your questions is if you post a super chat, and then I'll answer your question immediately, or a Streamlabs chat, which I've pinned in the comment section right here in the chat. So yeah, if you want to get your question answered immediately, then Super Chat is the way to go. It supports the channel, and you'll get your answer questioned immediately. Anyone else, they'll have to wait for the Q&A right at the end of the video. So, with that said, let's start talking about the first story. Alright then, here we go. Nicolas Cage has been cast as Spider-Man Noir in a live-action Amazon Prime show. Kevin, yes, Super Chat does cost. I think it starts at $1 and goes up, so you can donate whatever you want. Like I said, it supports the channel. And also you'll be able to get your answer questioned immediately. Okay. And everyone will see your question highlighted in the chat. Alright, so, yeah, Nicolas Cage has been cast as Spider-Man Noir in live action. And there's been rumors about this, and people have even been saying that they want a standalone Spider-Man Noir movie after we saw the Into the Spider-Verse film. So, turns out we are finally getting it, but we're getting it in two different ways. We're not getting it in a movie, we're getting it in a show, and we're also getting it in live action, not in animation, which is interesting. But that would be very doable, because Spider-Man Noir, his world is very black and white. So, putting Nicolas Cage in the suit as Spider-Man Noir, and having him be in a black and white, with a black and white look and style and cinematography, I think that will be very interesting and very new and very different. And people always ask the question, like, what superhero can this actor play or that actor play? And well, Nicolas Cage, he had Ghost Rider, he had Superman originally, but that didn't work out, and now he has Spider-Man Noir. That is a really great, out-of-the-box kind of thinking, And to do it in live action will be really cool. And his voice in Into the Spider-Verse was so funny. So to hear that they're bringing him in here is going to be great. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with it. And the cool thing is, like I said, live action spin-off. And the cool thing is, from what I hear, Lord and Miller, who are behind, the Spider-Verse films, they are going to be monitoring this and managing it. So, yeah, they're going to be producers of it. So that's good. I hope it does well. We also hear that Amy Pascal is going to be producer, but let's hope she has no creative influence on it. So, yeah. They're not making it, Parker, but they are producing it. So that means that they should be monitoring it. Hopefully they are, because they're already very busy monitoring Beyond the Spider-Verse. I would hate it if, if they are not able to monitor this as well. That would not be cool if they can't monitor this, because I can imagine they would be very busy and got their energy already split. But let's see how they do. Hopefully they do a very good job. So, what do you guys think of this? I think this will be really fun. And you can have the Nicolas Cage comedy that we had in Into the Spider-Verse as well. So, yeah, I hope they keep doing more. And I wonder if they're going to find a way to make this standalone, or if they're going to tie it in to Beyond the Spider-Verse in any way. Because Beyond the Spider-Verse, I said, I think is going to come out in 2028. So it makes me think, if this show comes out, are they going to show what this Nicolas Cage, Spider-Man Noir, are they going to show what he's been getting up to before Gwen shows up, Spider-Gwen shows up and asks for his help at the end of Across the Spider-Verse? That's what I'm thinking, because he showed up in that lineup, didn't he? And he wasn't in the whole film of Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm wondering if they're going to show you what he's been up to during that movie. That's what I think is going to happen. Parker says he wants a standalone. Yes, Matthew, I have seen him in Renfield. He was very funny in that, yeah. Especially when he has an invitation via a doormat. That was really funny, that was. Because he's a vampire, you can't come in without an invitation. And having an invitation from the doormat was so funny. That was really, really good. Parker says this could be a different Nick universe. Ranger Goat says he hopes it's standalone. It can be a standalone. I'm not saying it can't be a standalone. I'm saying I think it's standalone, but then they're going to connect it. That's what I think. But I do know what you mean when you say that you would like it to be a standalone, because a lot of people, yeah, we would like to have a lot of these standalone superheroes. Like, you have a separate story and everything that's not tied to what came before. Like a fresh start. But I think there's potential here if they want to make it a universe, and they can say, look, we have live action universe, we also have animated, because they've already shown Across the Spider-Verse that there are live action people and animated people. So I'm sure they're going to want to try to tie this in as some kind of universe. And I'm down for it. I think there's more opportunities and possibilities if they do that. JWK says, I will give this film a shot. That's great to see. Yeah, this is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. I think there's a lot of potential for this, and to have Nicolas Cage in a movie like a show like this. Also, not to mention, it's Amazon. Amazon are usually very good when it comes to these kind of shows. I hope they make it edgy as well, like TVMA or Rated R. If they do that, that would be interesting. At the same time, though, does it need a Rated R? In terms of violence, I don't think so, because I think they could make it very stylish with the black and white setting. Spirit Hero, I agree, not made by Seth Rogen. Hope he stays out of it completely. He should have no reason to be producing this. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff I think they can do with this. Ooh, Fireboy says, thoughts on Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I thought he was great in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. That was where I was introduced to him, and I thought he was really cool. Pizza Man says, hopefully he uses his gun in the show. Oh, I didn't know he had a gun. Because I played Shattered Dimensions, there was no gun in there. He was just sticking to his shadows, kind of like, Batman in a way. I just noticed, as I said, he was sticking to his shadows. I went into the shadows right there. Looks like I got a mask on, doesn't it? With the shadow from my flash. Looks like I've got a mask on, like some kind of COVID mask or something. Yeah. Huh, Funny says, my interest is now increased. I hate gross out jokes too, Gwen, especially when there's no humor attached to it. It's just gross out for the sake of being gross out. Parker says, not that everything needs to be rated R, but PG-13 and sometimes R don't mean nothing these days. Not even PG means crap no more. Yeah, but I feel like there are a lot of properties out there that do mean a lot with it when they do that. Eric in the shadows, lol, indeed. Saeed says, black and white superhero show, I'm down. Have you guys watched Godzilla -1 in black and white? I've not seen it in black and white, but I've seen the trailer. It does look pretty more freaky and more in keeping visually with the older movie, the 1950s movie. Alright, so before we move on to the next story, which will be about Supergirl, anyone have any other questions about this? Or want to say what they think it could this show could be about? If you think it will be tied to the Into the Spider-Verse universe or not? Pizza Man says he had a gun on his person when wearing the Noir suit in the PS4 game. He just didn't use it. Ah. He wasn't in the PS4 game, though, wasn't he? Oh, you mean the suit? Oh, yeah, the suit, the skin, yeah. Jacob Jean says, I've seen it in black and white. It looks even better. Looks beautiful. Oh, the Godzilla movie, yeah. Pizza Man, the next Versus video is already complete. I just need to watch it one more time to make sure that there's no problems with it. Then it will go to the patrons first for early access. And then it will eventually come onto YouTube, as I always do. Spirit Hero says, the live-action Sony team need to stay far away from this. I agree. I don't want any Madam Web creators and writers or Morbius people or anyone on this project. They should stay well away. And hopefully Lord and Miller, like I said, who are producing this movie and overlooking it, hopefully they will basically keep it on track. That's what I hope. Charleston says, I think this is a different version compared to the Spider-Verse version. That version is black and white, but still animated. I think the Spider-Verse world's realities are meant to look animated. Yeah, but pulled from his own universe, though. True, actually, because they did establish him when he was introducing himself in the first movie. He did talk about what his world was like and where he's from, and he was animated, wasn't he? But who knows, I feel like that's something they could overlook and they could say, no, we're just going to show him in live action. But then again, he was animated, wasn't he? He was animated when we saw him, and if he was a live action person, we would have seen him in live action. Who knows, maybe this is a separate version of Spider-Man Noir, and they can have two versions, the animated version and the live action version, talk to each other in Beyond the Spider-Verse, because they did say they want to have more live action characters in Beyond the Spider-Verse, is what I've heard. So imagine if they bring in two Nicolas Cage Spider-Man Noirs both talking to each other and teaming up. The animated one, the live-action one. I feel like the Spider-Verse movies are very smart when it comes to that kind of stuff. So they could make some really funny, not just jokes and humor, but they could do some really funny and good, cool scenes out of that. Imagine how funny it would sound when Nicolas Cage is trying to compete with Nicolas Cage. Noah says, I have a hot take. Based on peak scenes, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the best in Spider-Man cinema. Gwen and Pete scenes, Spidey's mannerisms, and the cinematography is the best. It's just so uneven and the plot is a mess. Yep. Before he creates more Morbius. Saeed says, Spider-Verse animation is one thing that Sony does best. The reason they do best with that is because they keep their nose out of it. Because they don't care about the animated world when they let this Into the Spider-Verse movie get made. They thought, you know what? The money is really in the live-action films, and that's what needs our guidance the most. So they went in and they started making all these demands, and it's why they suck. They suck, but they left the creatives to it with the Spider-Verse films, and now they're really good. Speaking of which, I still hope that the Spider-Verse people are able to make a Batman Beyond animated movie. I really hope that. Jess, was that an out-of-season April Fool's joke? Okay, so is everyone good with that? Have we spoken about this so far to the best of our ability? If so, we can now move on to the next story. Okay, Rohan saying to the next story, everyone saying to the next story. Okay, next story then. Here we go, here's the next story. Supergirl. Now, James Gunn's Supergirl movie, as we've mentioned before, I've talked about it before on this, on these live streams actually. Let me just move my video capture device here. There we go. So yeah, basically, the new news that came out recently, it was quite surprising, is that, if I can bring it up here, Supergirl has landed a release date. Apparently it's going to release in June of 2026 in theaters. Now this is actually a very, very interesting thing. The reason being is because when James Gunn made that video where he announced all the movies coming out in the DCU, Supergirl was more towards the latter of his plans. But now she seems to be the second of his plans. So there's going to be that animated Creature Commandos. There's going to then be the James Gunn Superman movie. And then apparently there's going to be Supergirl. So that's an interesting order. You'd think that he would have gone for some of the other ones that he planned, like the Batman movie or something, or the Green Lantern project, or the Wonder Woman project, but no, he's doing the Supergirl project. That's interesting, isn't it? It's such a bizarre thing. You'd think that he would have a break in between, and then Supergirl would come later on. But no, he's doing it right after the first Superman, so that means that most likely she's going to have a cameo in that first movie. That's why they've cast her already, so he could put her in his movie, and then she's going to have her own film, in her own Supergirl film. So, yeah, turns out, like I said, coming out June, which is interesting. Now, as always, these could change, but this is what we are being told right now. And it's interesting, because we have Joker 2 and the Batman Part 2, and then we have Superman and Supergirl. The Superman films are connected, whereas the two Batman projects are not connected. And it's cool that before we get the rest of the DC Universe characters, right now we are just getting Batman and Superman stuff. That is interesting, isn't it? Have you noticed that DC right now are focusing on Batman movies and Superman movies in separate universes? That is kind of funny and interesting, that is. In fact, let me put a poll out here. Let's see. Start a poll. Okay. I'm going to ask you, which movie are you looking forward to the most? So, these are the movies that are already being made. So, we have the Batman Part 2, Joker 2, Superman, or Supergirl. So I'm going to put the poll out there, and you guys let me know what you think. And we'll watch that poll go. I'll tell you guys after what I think my favorite movie is that I'm looking forward to the most out of all of this. And I'll put it in order for you as well. It's just interesting watching you guys vote. I can see the numbers in real time as they're going up and down. Okay, I'll tell you right now, actually, which one I would prefer. Actually, no, I won't. I'll wait. Let's wait and see how it goes. So yeah, the Supergirl movie, it makes me wonder if it's a June 2026 release. That's 2 years from now, because June is next month. So almost like 2 years exactly from now. The movie apparently is going to release in, let me look at my notes, June 24th, 2016. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, that. So yeah, the movie's coming out in 2 years. Makes me wonder, is the script must be done at this point then, if they're gonna, because it means that they must start shooting soon, or maybe they think the script is at a decent place to where they're just working on drafts now, so they can start with pre-production and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you know what it already is. Some of you who know me very well know exactly what my favorite movies are going to be on this poll. "2026. Sorry, I meant 2026, not 2016. If I said 2016. Alright then, I'm going to end the polls in about 10 seconds. So be sure to put your votes in there. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, Gwen and everyone's voted. Alright, I'm ending the poll. Alright, let's take a look at the results. So, which movie are you looking forward to the most? The Batman Part 2 leads the whole poll with 54%. Superman leads the poll with 25%. Joker 2 leads the poll with 20%. And Supergirl leads the poll with 0%. Wow, that says a lot about Supergirl being the second character that James Gunn is going to put into this movie. Whoa. Damn, that is surprising. So yeah, the Batman Part 2. I'll tell you guys my order now. My order that I want to see these in. Or my order of interest. So, for me, it will be, of course, a lot of you knew this, the Batman Part 2. Then, it would be Joker 2. Then, it will be James Gunn's Superman. And then, Supergirl. So yeah, no one voted for Supergirl. That's because Supergirl is still like a secondary character. Kind of like how Batman as Robin. That's what Supergirl is. She starts off as a sidekick before she ends up, you know, doing her own thing. So, yeah, a lot of people are just not as interested in Supergirl. But they're still making a movie out of her. Oh, Adam Grunther has entered the chat. And Adam Grunther has given a $5 donation. Thank you very much, buddy. And Adam says, how would you rank the main villains of the Planet of the Apes reboot movies? Jacobs, Koba, Colonel, and Proximus. Jacobs, was he the black guy in Rise of the Planet of the Apes? Yeah, he was, yeah. Forgot his name, even though Koba spelt it out for him. Pretty much, Adam, except Superman was put on the poll. Where was that poll? Superman was put in second place. For me, it was the Batman Part 2, Joker 2, then Superman. But Superman was in third place at the poll at first. So yeah, in order, Adam, in order, I would say it's Koba, the Colonel, Proximus, and Jacobs. Jacobs was a good villain, but he wasn't like a proper main villain. He was kind of like the businessman, where he was just interested in money and everything, and then look where that ended up. A worldwide virus. What a wonderful day. Yeah. But yeah, my review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is done. I'm gonna have to make a thumbnail for it, and then I'll publish it soon. And then the Avatar: The Last Airbender Versus video is also finally done, and patrons will get early access to it first before everyone else. So, yeah. And I know you're always a patron, Adam, so you'll get to see it before everyone else as well. And then it will eventually come to YouTube. Pizza Man hasn't seen Kingdom yet. But yeah, it is interesting that we have a Superman movie and a Supergirl movie coming, and they've both got release dates. One is already being filmed, the other one looks like it is pretty clear that it's going to be filmed, but I wonder what will happen if the Superman movie does not do well. Will all of a sudden that Supergirl movie that's already in production, will there be like a bad spotlight on it? I wonder, I'm curious. Oh, Saeed brought something up which I forgot about. He goes, I'm looking forward to Peacemaker Season 2 even more. Peacemaker Season 2 is something that they're also shooting now. I don't know if they're shooting it now, if they're getting ready to shoot it now, but that's something that they're also getting done. James Gunn said he was going to direct every single episode at first of Season 2, because he only did a few of Season 1. But he says that because he's making Superman and he's got other commitments, Peacemaker Season 2, to get it done quicker, he's letting other directors direct it. So that's a very good choice on his part. Adam Grunther says, I will say, I do think Supergirl had a disadvantage on this poll when you're up against the 3 most popular DC characters of all time. Yeah, exactly. But James Gunn did choose to put her movie up next. That's one thing I mentioned. I was like, when James Gunn made that announcement video, I already said this, Adam, you probably weren't here, but when James Gunn made that announcement video, he put Supergirl more towards the end of his announcement plans. But now he's brought her right up to the front, like after Superman of all movies. Which is an interesting choice. I wonder if people would be as interested in Supergirl after, you know, Superman so close. Because you'd think people would want to see other heroes. Like, there's no Wonder Woman put there. There's no Green Lanterns put there yet. I really hope he knows what he's doing. Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat's coming out this year as well. And there's still no trailer, no poster, no nothing. That's why I've not even heard about it. Oh, hi, G-Gamer. That's okay if you couldn't come last stream. I'm glad you're here this stream. So yeah, the movie looks like it's going full steam ahead. Adam Grunther says, I'm very excited to see Rick Flag Sr. interact with Peacemaker, given that he killed his son. Yeah, that is something which I didn't think about. But yeah, that is something that they're gonna have a lot to talk about on. And it's gonna be played by the same actor who's gonna be voicing him in the animation as well, which is cool. Adam Grunther says, Lanterns is a show. That's probably why. I know it's a show, but I would have thought that they would have said that at least they're writing it or something, which they probably are behind the scenes. Maybe they're not there yet. But yeah. No, I did not watch X-Men 97 because I didn't really watch the original 90s show, so. Jess says, Eric, Scorpion better be the main character in Mortal Kombat 2. We'll have to wait and see. It could be any one of the characters. But let's all agree that they get rid of that new guy that they made, whose name I can't even remember. Was it Cody? What was his name? Let's hope they get rid of that guy. Fireboy says, I hope that they would not make a bad, strong female character in Supergirl. I hope so too. But I have trust that James Gunn will know that himself. Drake says, I'm a bit late, but I'm here. That's okay. It's good to see that you're down here. We talked about Nicolas Cage in Spider-Man Noir. Then we're talking about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the release date. Cole, that was it. What did I call him? I can't remember what I called him. And Jess says, Lanterns will be better than the terrible 2011 movie. I certainly hope so. It's Cole Young. Yeah, let's hope they get rid of him. That was just a bad decision. I don't know what they were drinking when they said let's put him in as the main character in that film, and all the other characters that people love from the game, will make them all secondary. Such a stupid choice that was. So, yeah. That's okay, funny. I called him Cody, that was it. I know, I've just got a very bad memory. I don't know why I've got a very bad memory lately. It's irritating. Usually, I'm always able to, like, just come up with the names of celebrities and names of movies in my head, like, instantly. But, I don't know, for the last year, it's just not been coming to me as easily. It's so bizarre. Diego, I've got other versus videos in mind right now. Eventually, if I want to come to that, I will. Nathan says, not sure if you care or not, but did you see that Mark Hamill Joker and Kevin Conroy Batman will be together in multiverses? I've heard that, yeah. But I don't really care that much, to be honest, because I'm not watching those movies. I never liked the DC. I used to watch all their animated movies before, but now they've just, for the last several years, they've just been so bad at it that I just don't care about watching them anymore. I got another $5 super chat from Adam Grunther. Who says, how would you rank the main villains in each James Gunn comic book movie? Starro, Peacemaker, Butterflies, White Dragon, and High Evolutionary. White Dragon, that for some reason escapes me. Let's see. Oh, Peacemaker's father is called White Dragon, yeah. Alright, that's a very good question, Adam. Let me see. Let me see. Who two Multiverse is a game, not a movie. Oh, I thought you were talking about the Crisis on multiple. What was it? Crisis on Earth or something? What was it? What do they call that? Those new movies, those 3-part movies they're doing, those animated movies. I thought you were talking about that. Oh no, I did not hear there would be in the Multiverses game. Well, that's interesting then. Wow, Kevin Conroy really was working ahead, wasn't he? Okay, so let's see. Starro, Peacemaker, Butterflies, White Dragon, and High Evolutionary. I would say Peacemaker, only because of his show that really developed him further. So he's number 1. Then I would say White Dragon. Then I would say the Butterflies, Starro. No, Butterflies, High Evolutionary, and then Starro right at the end. That's the order that I would put it in. And thank you very much for the super chat, Adam. Like I said, these super chats always help, really do help support the channel. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yes, that's it. Adam says, my favourite James Gunn villain is still Ego from Guardians 2. I didn't include him since I know you're not a big fan of him. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him, personally. But James Gunn has got a couple of good villains in his belt. But if he wants to work for DC and stuff, he needs to make excellent villains under his belt. Especially on the Batman and Superman side, but especially on the Batman side. Alright then, so, are we ready to move on to the third story, which is something that I've really been looking forward to. Unless anyone has any more questions about the Supergirl story. Alright, doesn't look like anyone's got any more questions about the Supergirl story. Let's move on to the next story then, which is about John Wick. Or John Wick, or let's be more clear here, a John Wick spin-off. Now, the spin-off that we're going to be getting with John Wick is a spin-off that I have always wanted after the 4th film, and I wanted it instantly, but we weren't getting it. But now it's official. We are. Donnie Yen is going to come back and have a spin-off movie in the John Wick universe. Although, where am I? Hang on a second. I just realized that I'm not in the shot. I'm sorry for that, guys. Let's just put myself right here, shall we? There we go. Yep, so, now, for those of you that don't know, Ana de Armas, she was originally going to be, well, she still is, they were giving her a spin-off movie in the John Wick universe, in a movie called Ballerina. And I thought that was a stupid decision. Reason why is because John Wick Chapter 4 here, it's set up perfectly, without us even realizing when watching the movie, it set up Kane, Donnie Yen's character here. It set him up for a spin-off, and it even gave him a mid-credit scene. So why they set him up in that fourth movie, but then said, let's make a Ballerina spin-off of a character who we've never seen before, to me was just such a boneheaded and stupid decision. Because they took what should have been a special John Wick spin-off movie and really diluted it with a character that no one has seen and no one has any reason to care about. It made it feel like it's just... Do you know how you have those John Wick clone movies out there that try to, like, what was it, like Mr. Nobody and some other types, where they're trying to, like, just make a big action movie and make it stylized? That's what Ballerina looks like when you look at the poster and everything. It looks like it's trying to be one of those. But Kane, this looks like Kane. Look, if you just look at the guy in this picture. He looks like he belongs in a John Wick universe. So why they didn't just announce this first is beyond me, because I don't care about that other one. This I do care about, though. John Wick is not in this, and I want to watch this movie in theaters right now. Ballerina, it feels like they only put John Wick in that. He's got a cameo in that just so they can get people to watch the movie. But what they should have done was the reverse, like what they did with Kane, where they had John Wick and Kane in the movie, and through that movie they used it to set up Kane, who now can go have his own spin-off, and John Wick doesn't need to be in it, and I and many other people will still watch it and will still love it. That's what they should have done, but Ballerina instead, they did that, which to me is just like a very... It's like they didn't even think about that one when they did the spin-off. Adam Grunther says, my best guess is that Ballerina was pitched after John Wick 3 and was supposed to be made first since she appeared in that. But then what took it so long, and how come they didn't give her more of an appearance? It's a very good guess, Adam Grunther, a very good guess. I think you probably are onto something with that. But I think it's just poor planning. If they wanted to do a Ballerina spin-off, they needed to set it up in a much better way. Just making a movie and then just saying, well, in the world of John Wick, that's lazy. You got to do more of a setup in this of this before you do that. And Kane was set up very well. So I think that what they did with Kane, far better. And Adam Grunther has done another super chat. Let's see here. That's the third super chat Adam Grunther has done in this stream. Thank you very, very much. And Adam says, how would you rank the John Wick main villains? Vigo, Santino, Adjudicator, and Marquez. I did say that right. Marquez. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, of all the villains I like the most, I like Santino the best because he is such a weasel, and he trapped John Wick in a situation where he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And I was like, I don't know how John Wick can get out of that. So I was like, that was I loved that. It's such a weaselly villain. So I'd say Santino, then Vigo, then Marquez, how you say his name, and then the Adjudicator. That's how I would how I'd organize the villains in my opinion. Wow, look at that. Movie Fan 2002. And Batman's Gamer have given $2 super chats. Thank you very much, guys. I always say these super chats really help a great deal, so thank you. Let's see. Ballerina. Nope. Donnie Yen spin-off? Yes. Oh yeah, F yes to that, Movie Fan. I agree. Batman's Gamer says, sorry I wasn't here last live stream, guys. Oh, don't worry about it at all. You're here now, and that's what I really appreciate. Marquis says, Adam Grunter, that was it. Funny thing is, I want to see John Wick 4 again. I've seen it twice in the theater, and I want to see it again at home on my projector, but I've just not had the time to see it. So I want to see that again. That's why, his name escaped me. Adam Grunter also said, I think the Kane spin-off got announced probably because of the Continental show's failure. Probably, but that Continental show, I watched the first episode, I think, and then I said to myself I'll watch the other two, but I just couldn't really get around to it. I just didn't feel like I wanted to, which says a lot about the show. Movie Fan 2002 says, this is going to be awesome. Spirit Hero. They probably changed their minds to release the spin-offs until after the last John Wick movie. Maybe, because that Ballerina, I'm surprised that it's not been released yet. I think it must have been finished, they must have finished it, like, a while back now. So the fact that it's not released yet, no trailer either, surprises me. JWK says, I'm going to head out. See you next stream, Eric. Yeah, no problem, buddy. Thanks very much for dropping by. No, it's very good to be back, Batman's Gamer. Everyone knows everyone here on these streams. So, thank you for joining in. Thank you for the super chat. Jess says, cancel Ballerina. I don't need to cancel it, but Ballerina just sounds like such a nothing movie. Let me see. Have I got a poster of it? Let's see. Oh wow, the movie's coming out in 2025. I just looked at it and saw. That's ridiculous. And they're not even giving a proper... Oh, there you go. June the 7th, 2025. That's a year from now. What the hell? That is so weird. There we go. I've got the poster. Here you go, guys. Excuse me. Here it is. The spin-off that no one asked for. Well, let's bring you down right where you belong. There you go. You're that small movie that no one asked for. That's the thing with Ballerina. It looks more like it would be a spin-off movie that would end up on streaming. It doesn't look like a movie that we would go to theaters. It's like, seriously, why? I don't think this is feminist garbage, Gwen. This is not that kind of movie. I don't look at this and think, that's going to be it. But, like, that's what it's going to be. But I look at it and think, why? Like, just, why? Be smarter about it. And one of you is right. It does look like the Abigail poster. Hold on, let's bring the Abigail poster in. Alright, guys, take a look at this. If you can see what I'm seeing right now. Look. They do look like the exact same posters, don't they? There's that thing where people say that movie posters look the same. And, well, we've got a clear example of it here. Drake says, wow, that poster really does look like the Abigail poster. Gwen's like, it looks so similar. Spirit Hero is like, pfft. Yuck. Yeah, they might flop with the movie. The only way they won't flop with the movie is if it's super low budget. Yeah, Movie Fan 2002 has given us another $5 super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. This was very slow for super chats. I thought there was going to be no super chats today, but you guys are really coming through with super chats lately, so thank you. Movie Fan 2002 says, don't be mad, but I blame Logan on why we have older and meaner versions of beloved movie characters. Why would you blame Logan for that? Because Logan came out in 2017, and it's based on the Old Man Logan comic, very loosely, but it makes sense that, you know, that character has been an older character in the comics, so if you want, you could technically blame the Old Man Logan comic. But if you look at 2015, where you had Han Solo was like an old hermit, you know, he was an old hermit then, and that movie was being shot in 2013, 2014. And they wrote it in 2013 or something. So, yeah. If, yeah, there's a lot of old characters before. I don't blame Logan for that. Logan was one of the few that made their older character older. Their classic character older. And it worked. That's what I think, personally. These two look the same. I blame Luke Skywalker for the trend of character assassinating beloved characters. Well, he was one of the first that was assassinated. But all the others were being written at the same time. Like the later movies were already being written right around that same time. Or they looked at that and thought, you know what? We want some victim points too. Why can't we kill off the original character and people be happy with it? Spirit Hero says, please get Kathleen Kennedy out. Don't you worry, she'll be out soon. Her last project is The Acolyte. Although, in an interview, if you read an interview with her recently, she was asked when she leaves, what's the project that she's most looking forward to? And she mentioned the Grogu a Mandalorian movie. She did not mention The Acolyte, which is her project. That says a lot that she's not even mentioning her project. It's like she knows it sucks, and she doesn't want to be remembered for it, but she would much rather be remembered for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's project, which is The Mandalorian and Grogu. So, that tells you right there she has no confidence in her project, and she would rather try to get credit for those other movies. So, yeah. Yes, Jess, I now do not like The Force Awakens. It had a lot of potential, and that's why I gave it a 10 at the time, but that potential has gone right out the window. Charlton says, I don't mind Luke and Han in the sequels. I also loved Logan's character as an old person. Michael Keaton in The Flash and the OG Ghostbusters in Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Yeah, those did it better. Movie fan says, don't get me wrong, I love Logan, at least from the second viewing onward. Yeah, that's fair enough. True female empowerment right there, says Spirit Hero. Yeah. I'm sure that she could have been fine and good if they put her in a John Wick movie, but I also don't want to see her in a John Wick movie because I feel like she's been overexposed. She was in James Bond and she did a good job there, but imagine if we then saw her pop up in a John Wick movie. It'd feel like she's just, like they're just typecasting her in this thing where she keeps popping up in these movies. Gwen says, writers nowadays assassinates more characters than the world's greatest hitmen. Yeah, they sure do. But I think now they're trying to do better with it, because the industry has been suffering with those popular characters. People would have turned up for those popular characters, but instead, they've not shown up, and studios have lost a ton of money. Millions upon millions of well, billions, I'd say, because these are top-level characters. So yeah, they're still in trouble. And they got no one to blame but themselves. Kevin says, will Deadpool and Wolverine be the prequel to Logan? Yes, it will be set earlier, but this is what it looks like. It looks like it's a completely different Wolverine. So it doesn't look like it's going to be, you know, the Wolverine that we know. Ant-Man 3 and the next Captain Marvel movie has been cancelled. It's for the best. Well, Ant-Man 4, you mean, got cancelled, because we already got Ant-Man 3. That was called Ant-Man Quantumania. Yeah, Ant-Man 4 has been cancelled, and the Captain Marvel movie I've also heard has been cancelled too. I've heard that myself. Yeah, but they should have cancelled the second Captain Marvel movie, quite frankly, instead of shoving $275 million+ into it. So ridiculous on their part. Jake. Jake, good to see you, buddy. Says, wonder if John Wick keeps going. That is something I wanted to talk about, actually. Man, Jake, you've just popped into the stream and you've already given me another talking point. I actually wrote it in my notes. I'm surprised I did not bring it up. Let me just turn this fan on because it is getting a bit hot in this room. I'm in the attic room and we're approaching the summer, so it's getting quite hot. If you guys can hear that, let me know and I'll do something about it. Anyway. You guys can't hear that fan, can you? I hope it doesn't mess with the microphone. Okay, so that is actually a very good point, Jake, that you brought up, and I want to discuss that. Now, one thing I want to say is that Chad Stahelski, he is overseeing the John Wick universe. And it will be interesting to see how this franchise will work out without John Wick. But if they can keep the craft and identity of the action scenes and the visuals of the John Wick franchise, then maybe that can keep people coming. Because if these start to look like generic action movies, that's not going to bode well for the franchise, and I can't see it going on for long. So, the Donnie Yen movie I can see working, but then we have, like I said, the Ballerina movie, and I don't see that working because there was no lead-in or setup for her. So I think that's going to really come back and bite them on the arse with that movie. And I'd be curious to see what budget they're going to give both films. What budget they'll give the Donnie Yen movie, and what budget they'll give the Ballerina movie. I'd be very curious to see. MoveFan2002 gave a $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much, buddy, because like I said, we've not been getting many super chats this stream. So I really appreciate that. MoveFan says, speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine, tickets will be on sale starting tomorrow. That's like 2 months in advance. They're selling tickets already. Wow. That's interesting. I do wonder, here in the UK, seeing as the movie is going to be rated R, I wonder how many seats will be packed, because that means that no kids under the age of 15, most likely, will be able to come and see that movie. So I'm very curious to see what they do with that. But yeah, the John Wick franchise, without John Wick, people will not be coming to see these movies. However, if they manage to maintain the style and give us characters that we really like, I'm sure people will keep coming. Not to the same level that they came for the John Wick movies, but they will turn up to a point where this franchise can still be profitable. So the Donnie Yen movie is a great idea for a spin-off, and they could make a sequel to that spin-off if they wanted to. And they even teased a spin-off in the mid-credit scene for John Wick Chapter 4. So that was a no-brainer to make a spin-off of that. But if they keep doing silly decisions like the Ballerina spin-off, where there's no thought behind it, and they just basically make a made-up assassin and then just slap the John Wick name onto it, that's not going to work out. People are not going to just look at that and say, yep, that's a John Wick thing, it's in the John Wick universe, sign me up and let me go see it. People are going to wait to see it on streaming, like I would, or they're just not going to bother watching it at all. So, that's basically what my thought process is. They can make this work, but they need to put thought into these spin-offs. They can't just say spin-off for spin-off's sake, which is what Ballerina seems like. So, yeah. Let me get closer to the microphone here. Yeah, Jess has said it very well. Don't make John Wick the next Fast and Furious, please, because they did Hobbs and Shaw, didn't they? As a spin-off. And yeah, that was not a good movie. I didn't really like that one. Zayden says, don't spam. Who are you saying don't spam to? Diego, I've got other Buzz videos in mind right now. Maybe in the future, maybe, but not right now. Superman 3 vs. Superman 4. Drake said, MODOK from Ant-Man 3. Wow, he reminded me of Mr. Electric from Shot Boy and Lava Girl. Yep, he really did. The G-Gamer says, what are examples of spin-offs you loved? Oh, Batman's Gamer's back. Thank you very much for coming back. Fireboy has to go. Thanks for joining the stream, buddy. I really appreciate it. Take care. That's a very good question. What spin-offs do I like? Well, this was a spin-off that I really liked. Let's just put it on the screen right here. When I think of a spin-off, the first spin-off that I like, the first one that popped into my head, it was this. Annabelle Creation. Annabelle Creation was a really good movie. Was a really good horror movie, and I think it's like the only genuinely good The Conjuring spin-off film. The others have all been varying degrees of disappointing to me. but this one is the best one, so that's the best one that I would say. Jake has done a $7 super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, buddy. I really, really appreciate it. And he says, have you seen The Fall Guy? Saw it recently and enjoyed it. By the way, I find it weird how every movie needs a full franchise these days. Yeah, I know. Like, have you seen Madam Web, how that movie ended? I have seen it, by the way, now. Me and my brother saw it. We had a good laugh. We had to pause it so many times because it was just so stupid. So I'm glad I didn't see it in theaters and I watched it at home because we had a great laugh at that movie. Yeah, it always that ended in a way where it was sequel baiting, and it was so horrible the way they did it. But I don't know if The Fall Guy does it, but damn, that would not be cool if The Fall Guy does it. The Fall Guy strikes me as it should just be a one and done movie. Like, it doesn't look like it would be a movie that would have several sequels made of it, but I'd be surprised if that's what they tried to do. But The Fall Guy, I think in about a week maybe, should come on PVOD. So no, I have not seen it yet, but I do intend to. I hear that Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling are both very good in it. I was going to say Ryan Reynolds almost, because we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds was in my head. But Ryan Gosling, I hear they're both very good in it and have great chemistry from what I hear. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's good, because that's actually a movie that I want to see as well. Oh, Adam Grunther has done also a $5 super chat. Thanks a lot again for the super chat. Like I said, I thought there wasn't going to be any super chats for this stream, but turns out there were. Adam Grunther says, so which 2024 ape movie did you like more? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, without a doubt. Godzilla x Kong had some good moments in there and stuff, but ultimately you were just waiting for the monsters to fight. The Planet of the Apes movies have more depth to them, so you're kind of watching for the story and for the character development. So that's what I would say. Personally, I really think it's the Planet of the Apes movie. Although, what did I think of the Planet of the Apes movie? Did I like it? Did I think it was okay? Did I hate it? You'll find out in the review. And the review is done, so it'll be released soon. Like I said, I just got to do a thumbnail for it and come up with a clever title. Batman's a Gamer said something which is very, very, very nice and funny the way he said it. In all capitals, don't you dare think we're not going to give super chats on your streams, Captain Eric. Yeah, sometimes a thought does come through though. Like last live stream and this live stream, I remember there was a while it went on where it didn't happen. But yeah, no, you guys are always so generous. Like, I always really do appreciate it. You guys always are supporting the channel, and I really appreciate it. Diego says, you don't have to do them now, but as long as you do them in the future, then I'll be happy. That'll be a long wait, but okay, at some point I'll consider doing it. Superman 1 and 2 versus, and then Superman 3 and 4 versus. Batman's Gamer says, Jake's gone soft. It's okay, Jake has, every time he's donated, he's done huge sums. I don't expect him to do it every single time, so even if he gives $70 like he has in the past, or $7 what he does here, I always appreciate any amount. So thank you, Jake, very much for continuing to support me. I always appreciate it. And you said you didn't want to do anything on Patreon because you have to make a Patreon account, but I am looking into YouTube memberships, so I'll try to give the same perks onto memberships if you want to benefit from those. So those will always be there. What's your favourite Planet of the Apes film, says Kevin. For me, it's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I love that film. It's my second favourite movie of all time. Noah says, is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes worth a cinema ticket? I'm not going to give you my thoughts on the movie, but I will just say, from a craft point of view, and in terms of have you seen this before in the theatre, do you need to see it again? I would say you can watch it at home and still enjoy it. It's not needed to see on the cinema because I feel like a lot of the visual scope stuff that it's doing, we've already seen the previous Apes movies do it. So it's not like you're watching something brand new that you've never seen on the big screen before. This is all stuff you have essentially seen on the big screen before. So yeah, I'd say you can watch it in the theatre or you can watch it at home, but you're not It's not like a movie where it's like you must watch it in the theater. You can watch it at home on a good home cinema setup, or a decent home cinema setup, and still get a very good experience from it. Alright, got another donation. I got a $2 donation from Adam Grunther here. And a $5 donation from MovieFan2002. Thank you very much, buddies. Buddies. Says, Adam Grunther says, thoughts on Scar King and Godzilla x Kong. I actually liked him. I remember I thought I was not going to like him when I saw the trailer. And his design, yes, it leaves a lot to be desired. I think it's very uninteresting and just boring. Especially considering, like, you know, the great designs that the vast worlds of these, you know, the Toho Godzilla movies have. But I thought he was good the way they utilized him. Could it have been better? Yeah. But I like his intimidation factor, especially when he starts fighting Kong. I thought that was interesting. And MovieFan2002 says, are you going to do a versus video of Fury Road and Furiosa? No, I'm not. Because I've been getting requests on Patreon to do commission-based versus videos. When the Avatar versus video is done, the Avatar The Last Airbender versus video, I'm then going to continue work on the Puss in Boots versus video. And then Adam Grunther here has said to me that he wants to do a commission-based versus video as well. He wants to request a commission-based versus video from me. So then I'm going to have to work on that as well. So I haven't got time to do Fury Road and Furiosa. But they both look like vastly different movies to me. Like, they look like they're vastly the same and vastly different. It looks like they're just meant to be good, fun, action type of movies. I don't really think it doesn't seem, based on the trailer at least, it doesn't seem like it's very much different. They both look like they share a lot of similarities between each other. But characters-wise, I will say just by the trailers, it looks like the fourth movie did a better job, the previous one. Jake says, no problem, can't go too crazy with money. That's okay, donate however much you want to. Drake Holly says, I have another interesting idea for a Kong villain. This one is my own idea. Would you like to hear it? Yeah, by all means. Adam Grunther says, I'm still deciding between Suicide Squad 2016 versus 2021 or Logan versus The Dark Knight. Okay, Adam, I was actually going to respond to your question on Patreon when I finished uploading the Avatar video, but because you're on the live stream and we're talking about it now, I'll talk to you about it now in terms of what I thought. I read your recommendations, or like what you were thinking of doing. And when you ask me what would I think, it's all up to you in the end, because you're paying for the commission video, so it's whatever makes you happy. But if you're asking my opinion, which you were, on the Patreon message, I'm sorry, I just almost knocked over my microphone. I grabbed it just in time. But what I would say is that I've talked about Logan, I've talked about The Dark Knight, I've talked about the 2016 Suicide Squad. I've not talked about the 2021 Suicide Squad. So, if I would choose, I would say Suicide Squad 2016 versus 2021. Purely based on the fact that I get to talk about a movie that I've not talked about on this channel. Besides some live streams where I've made some mentions of it. So if it's based on when you're asking what would I choose, I would personally choose that. But in the end, it's entirely up to you. But remember that you can do all kinds of crazy ideas with when you request or commission a versus video. So whatever you want to choose, you can choose. Jess says, Eric, did you freak out when Caesar bit off a guy's finger? Did Caesar bite a guy's finger? I remember Caesar's got his finger bit. It's starting to ring a bell. I feel like he must. Oh, you mean the guy when he brought his finger like this and then bit it. I didn't get freaked out, but I was like, damn, he's really trying to hurt him. Because he was kicking him around, that guy in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But it was once he tried to get his finger and bite it, that was where it's like, okay, things got freaky. Kindon says, not a fan of Suicide Squad 2021. Gwen says, I saw the 2021 Suicide Squad. I loved it. Yeah, Caesar... Jess says it best. Caesar and Harry Osborn were a great duo in Rise. They sure were. The G Gamer says, is it Q&A yet before I ask the next question? Yeah, I suppose we're on the Q&A now. We'll just keep this John Wick screen on, because if there's any more John Wick questions that you want to ask, I'll answer them. Lil XX, I feel like you're really starting to freak me out when you say these things. You're being too flattering. So, try to take it down a notch. I appreciate the nice words, but that's too generous. Rohan says, what was your reaction when you heard Caesar say no in Rise of Planet of the Apes? My jaw fell on the ground. I remember when I saw it. It's like, we know the apes start talking later, but you never thought in this movie they were going to. And then when he said no, it made everyone, like, drop their jaw. I remember even my parents, when they watched it at home, they were surprised by it. Everyone was surprised by that. Saeed says, I watched Kingdom, and I can't wait for the review. Cool. Zelda fan says, have you seen Cowboy Bebop? I've seen the first episode with my brother, and we haven't continued watching it yet. We both need to find time to continue and watch it together. Thoughts on the scenes with Cobra in War for Planet of the Apes? I thought they were great scenes, especially because they were meant to be challenging Caesar. Gwen says, I'd better go now. I'm happy to join the stream. Have a nice day. Yeah, have a nice day to you too, Gwen. I really appreciate you dropping by. Thank you very much. Kevin says, when Garfield and Furiosa both come out, will it be Barbie and Oppenheimer all over again? No. Because if it was, then we would have gotten social media buzz already, but we're not getting any social media buzz. The interesting thing is that in December, I think in December, both the Mufasa movie and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, they are both opening on the same day. But I don't think that's going to be a Barbenheimer thing. I think that's going to just be people saying, let's just take a dump on Disney and let's just all go watch Sonic instead. Just to make their Sonic's numbers go high and Disney's lying Mufasa numbers go low. Because no one wants that movie. Jess says, Eric, Rise had a normal world, but why did it turn into The Last of Us Apocalypse in the later movies? Because the most of the humans had died, so a lot of the world became unattended to and, you know, just empty. Zayden says, what movie do you wish you would have watched as a child? That is a very good question. I really wish I could give an immediate answer, because I know there are immediate answers, movies I wish I could have watched when I was younger. I'd say a lot of the Disney movies, because we watched a lot of Disney movies growing up, but there are so much Disney movies. I didn't watch Snow White when I was younger. I didn't watch like Jungle Book when I was younger, and many movies of Disney movies. So I wish I could have watched those when I was younger. Also, I never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show. Excuse me again. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I never watched that show when I was younger. I watched it when I was like 14, 15, about 15, I think. How old was I? Or was I 17? 16, 17? So I would have liked to watch that as part of my childhood. That would have been cool. But at the same time, I had such a fun time watching it when I did, in my mid-teens. It was so fun. Jess says, does Jason Clarke in Dawn remind you of Joel? Nope, not one bit. Oh wow, Zelda fan says, Apes and Furiosa were actually supposed to come out on the same day. Apes got pushed ahead by 2 weeks because Warner Brothers wanted to avoid competition. Oh wow, that's interesting. Let's hope no one budges in December for Sonic and Mufasa. I want to see Disney. It'll be embarrassing when Sonic wins and the Lion King frickin' doesn't. I would love to see that, so that's what I'm hoping to see. That'll be funny. Movie Fan 2002 says, I'd say the recent Planet of the Apes are ahead of its time. They are excellent movies. We'll talk about the previous... If you're saying the recent Planet of the Apes, I don't know if you're talking about the recent Kingdom or the previous 3 trilogy. But yeah, I'd say the trilogy was definitely ahead of its time. Oh, Movie Fan says, I regretted of not watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy prior to the pandemic. Wow, so you never watched the Lord of the Rings as a kid? That was something that was quite a thing when we were younger, that was. So, yeah, that would have been fun to watch as, when the Lord of the Rings hype was brand new. And we got Batman's Gamer doing a $5 super chat. Really, thank you very much for these super chats. The great kings of the past took a shit on the Mufasa the Lion King trailer. Yeah, they sure did. A lot of people did. That's because, like I said, Disney are just out of touch. They don't know what audiences want anymore. Drake says, at this point, I won't be surprised if the Mufasa movie fails, honestly. I think it will fail. Really, I think it would. Zelda fan says, do you own a Nintendo Switch? No, I don't, but I do own a Steam Deck and a Steam Deck OLED. Jess says, it better be because of Shadow, a darker character story. That would be interesting. But I think they're going to play it safe and just make it more family-oriented. But I think making it darker, taking a risk with Sonic, I would not be opposed to that. I would like to see that. What's your best cinema experience? The most memorable and mind-boggling? No Time to Die was my first after lockdown and special, but the Batman and No Way Home was greater experiences in terms of movies. My best cinema experience was a movie that I liked, but I didn't even love. I've got a couple of great cinema experiences. A lot of them mainly because I watched them with my dad when I was younger. He would always take me to the cinema to watch these movies. But my best experience was actually watching, that I can think of at least, was actually watching Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Hang on a second. Here we go. My best experience watching a movie in the cinema was watching Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. The reason why is because me and my mum went to go see it. It came out in 2007. That was the year that the final Harry Potter book came out, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And I finished reading that book earlier that year, so for me, the Harry Potter journey felt like it was complete because I already knew what had happened. At that point, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when I read that book, it felt like it was ages ago. So it felt like I was going, like, it felt like when you're way ahead on a TV show, like you're in the 7th season, but then you need to go all the way back to season 5, the beginning of season 5, just because the person you're watching it with has not seen it. So it felt like that to me. I was like, this feels like we're so far behind. And I watched it. The movie, I got problems. It was a fun movie, but I had problems with it in terms of how much they took out of the book and why the longest book was the shortest movie. That was a big problem. I actually remember enjoying the movie so much because the audience was fantastic. There was one point where Harry talked to Ron and Hermione in the Gryffindor common room about how Chang, after he kissed her, after they both kissed, she started crying. And then when Ron says, "You think a good snog would make her happy, like would cheer her up," and then Hermione says that only because you have like the emotional integrity of a teaspoon or something like that. And I remember when the group smiled before Hermione laughed. When the group smiled, Hermione hadn't left yet. There was a tremor in the cinema. I was like, what's that tremor? There was like a little audible tremor, and I realized it's the audience laughing very quietly. Like, it was almost therapeutic the way they laughed. It's like they knew they're all in the cinema. We can laugh, but we can't laugh too loud. But it's so funny that we have to make some laughing sound, that we have to laugh out loud a little bit. And everyone laughed it was like such a beautiful little tremor. And then the characters laugh on screen. Everyone felt like they were so into the movie, and they all had a respect for the movie-going experience. And there were other bits and bats in the movies when I was watching it where it felt like everyone was really into it, even when Sirius died and everything. Like, it was a completely quiet moment when Sirius died, and the music was so quiet that you could hear at the tiniest noise, heard nothing. You could tell everyone was just so into it. They were laughing at the bits that they were supposed to laugh at, but they weren't being disrespectful. It's the perfect volume of laughter that enhances the experience as an audience member, as a communal audience experience, but also it was low enough to make sure that you still enjoyed the movie. So that to me was one of the best cinema experiences I ever had, and I will forever remember it. And me and my mum watched it. Even she found it funny as well. And even my mum said coming out, it was a very nice environment. It felt like a very nice atmosphere when we watched the movie, and it really was. So I'd say that is one of my best experiences watching a movie. Jake has done a $14 super chat. Thank you so much, Jake. Seriously, I keep saying it, your generosity knows no bounds, so thank you very, very much for the super chat donation. And Jake says, by the way, didn't John Wick have a mini-series recently? What was that like? Yes, it did. And there's 3 episodes. It was a 3-episode event. Each episode, I think, was like an hour and a half. I watched the first episode, and I said to myself I'll watch the second and third at some point. Never got around to it. Because the show was just boring. I thought for an hour and a half they would pull a Sherlock. You know how each episode is an hour and a half? But those episodes of Sherlock are so well paced, and they got really great stories. They don't feel like an hour and a half. But with John Wick, you really felt it. So I was like, yeah, I'll get to 2 and 3 at some point, but I'm not in a rush. And to this day, I've still not gotten to them. So yeah, that they were not good in that way. They didn't feel like they wanted you to like just continue watching the next and the next. It was so boring in a way. The action and the sound effects of the gun shootings were just like, they were taken straight out of the John Wick movies, which was great. But I remember thinking there was too much sex in the show compared to what is in the movie. It felt like they were doing it way too much, and I was, if I remember correctly, and I was like, dudes, stop sleeping around. You can shorten that runtime if you just quit it. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. But then Jake says, anyways, do you feel like audiences can sometimes negatively influence movie creators? Do I feel like audiences can sometimes negatively influence movie creators? They can if they let it get to them. But there are directors out there that say they don't get influenced by that, and I'm glad. I feel like you gotta judge what you're being influenced by. If it's something like the Ant-Man 3 director, who said, not the director, the Ant-Man 3 writer, who says he was getting all these bad reviews about the writing and how he was hurt by it, but then he heard the audience laugh at the premiere, and he was like, no, you know what? It's great. What he basically did, what he's done was great. He's gonna continue doing it. I was like, dude, that's taking it the wrong way. You're not doing it right. You need to improve your writing there. But he says essentially he was not going to. And so that's an example of it being done wrong, like how audiences can affect, but then he decided not to let it affect him. And when really he should have let the audience's reaction affect him, and he should have done better with his writing going forward. But yeah, he didn't. So yeah, I'd say it depends on the situation. It can negatively influence movie creators, but it can also positively influence them as well. That's what I would say, and it depends. And it depends on whether the writer is willing to listen, or whether he thinks that he should listen. But it needs to be done the right way, basically. And then Jake says, anyways, what show do you wish lasted longer? What show do I wish lasted longer? That is a good question. Teen Titans. I think Teen Titans should have lasted longer, and it was going to, but they stopped it early. Star Wars The Clone Wars is a show that also should have lasted longer, but they cancelled it because Disney wanted to start making their own stuff. So, yeah. That's what I'd say. Those are 2 of the things that should have lasted longer, Jake. Jake also says, well, to be fair, his backstory is dark in the games. They're referring to Shadow. I don't know Shadow's backstory, so let's hope in the movie they introduce it to people like me who don't know his backstory. They show it. Let's hope they do it justice and make it dark as it should be. The Movie King 3000, how you been, bud? He says, hey Eric, how's your day going? Also, what are your thoughts on the Daredevil Born Again new logo and teaser descriptions? Have they released a new logo now? I mean, have you seen the amount of Agatha Coven of Chaos? How many logos they were releasing of that before they called it Agatha All Along? Funny, I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much, buddy, for dropping by. Connor says, hey Eric, you hoped for a Donnie Yen spin-off before, and... where is it gone? For a Donnie Yen spin-off before. I'm glad you got your wish. Yeah, I'm glad too. Let's hope it's done very well. The Logman says, have you seen The Boys on Prime? I watched the first episode last night and it was very good. Yes, I've seen all the seasons of The Boys, including its spin-off show, Gen V, which takes place after season 4. So watch it after season 4. I highly recommend that you do. Kevin says, imagine if Will Smith slapped Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wouldn't have gone up if it was to slap Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he knew he would get punched right back. Have you heard that The Boys has been renewed for 5th season? I have, which is kind of surprising because I heard rumors that this would be the last season with these characters, most of these characters. Because I heard a rumor that a lot of them were gonna die. Well, not a lot of them. That some main characters were gonna die is what I heard. Some was the word, which, you know, is very vague. You don't know how much that could be. But they were saying it like this was gonna be the last season, but I guess it's not. Some people are speculating that Homelander will probably be president or something by the end of this season, and then that will lead to the next, because The Boys always finds a way to kind of like make things get worse and worse and worse. So that's what some people are speculating. Well, we'll see. This is all speculation at this point. Jake says, imagine if Will Smith smacked Amy Schumer. She was hosting. Well, I think she does need a good smack, doesn't she? Especially with the stuff she's been saying. Yeah, Spirit Hero says, oh, Jake, okay, I might applaud him for that. Yeah, I would applaud him too. Although, I think if they did that, they probably would have called the cops on him. Because violence against a woman is like, yeah, that's something we're going to call the cops on. But violence against a man, we'll just continue acting like there's nothing happened and just start applauding in the show. And applauding when he gets his Oscar. Ridiculous. Charleston says the Agatha titles were just for marketing because of Agatha as a character. It's genius if they would reveal the actual title immediately after, like, No Way Home did, rather than after 2 years. Yeah, that just tells me they had no idea what they were going to call it. So they kept putting those out there, then they kept changing their minds. So now they're trying to... They did this thing where they animated all the names and then said Agatha all along. They're trying to act slick. Like, yeah, this is all part of it. It wasn't. I'm betting you they were going through like a bit of a creative crisis down there, and they only recently said, "All right, we'll just call it Agatha all along because that's what she's known for." Even though she didn't do anything all along in that show, like I said in my WandaVision binge watch video. Oh man, I didn't like. As you can tell, I didn't like what they did. Why is she having a show? I feel like the Agatha moment has died down, so it's too late to make a show for her now, I'd say. Eric, Noah says, Eric, have you seen the latest Hunger Games movie yet? No, I haven't. I want to, but I haven't. Jacob says something I agree with, because really, men and women should get equal charges for battery. It happens in my town. It happens in my town. Yeah, it just doesn't happen here. Because they've always programmed it into people's minds that if a woman... Saeed, I haven't seen X-Men 97 because I've not seen the original 90s show, so I didn't jump into the show. But yeah, just looking at the Johnny Depp situation, Amber Heard, if the shoe was on the other foot, and Johnny Depp chopped off the tip of her finger and did everything he did, they would have wanted him to be arrested. But when she did it, all of a sudden it's like, no, we don't want anyone to get destroyed over this. It's like, why? You would have done it if it was him, but no, you're not doing it if it's her. And she chopped off the tip of his finger and all that stuff. And tried to frame him for everything. It's just it just goes to show the double standards that we have. Kindon says Snow White is going to flop. Yes, it is. I think that when the movie re-releases, there'll be a controversy, but we'll see if they put the dwarves back in. That's what it seems like they're going to try doing. Jess says, Eric, is the girl in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes the little girl in War? No, it's not. This takes place like 300 years later or something, so none of those original characters are there. This could be like Caesar's descendants and some of the characters' descendants, something like that. Jacinda says, Eric, the name of the show I mentioned if you're going to see it is called Eric. Is it really? Spirit Hero, is that really what they did? Spirit Hero says, hey Eric, the MCU just blame my generation for their superhero fatigue. They're just desperate to point the finger, aren't they? Did they do that? When did they do that? I did not hear about that. Yeah, Jacob, women can be just as bad as men. Certain types certainly can. Alright, anyone have any more questions? Hi Eric, do you see the new Planet of the Apes? I have. The review is coming. I finished the review. I just need to make a thumbnail for it and then release it. Oh, the Russo brothers. Yeah, I actually read something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, a lot of those people came to see Oppenheimer. They came to see Barbie. There's a lot of movies that are coming out where people are going to see them. They're just not good enough. They're not good enough. The theaters are giving bad experiences. The prices are way too high. My theater, believe it or not, I don't know if I've mentioned this on a stream before. My theater has, because there was so little attendance, my theater, the deluxe theater of mine, for their normal screens, they're only charging £6 a ticket. No matter what time you come in, no matter what time of day, £6 a ticket. Because less people are coming in. And when that happened, I still didn't want to go. I was like, it just goes to show how much people have just gotten used to waiting and watching movies at home. But I did go to watch some movies cheaper at £6, at £6, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun when you want to just go for a day out to go watch some movies. And then yeah, it makes it a lot more. It makes it a lot more fun when you know that you spent a lot less money to go watch a movie in theaters, and it just feels nicer because when you go and you find out you paid like £15 for a freaking ticket, it's insane. That's how much it usually would have cost, and it's why I was never going, except for doing reviews when I had to. Jake says, oh really? Maybe it's just because Marvel is suffocating these days due to worse writing and not generations of any kind. Yeah, I agree, Jake. It's just Marvel. The G Gamer says, you're getting a steal, $6 for a ticket. My local theater is around $12 to $13. Yeah, not dollars, pounds. £6 for a ticket. And yeah, $12 to $13 for us. It was usually £12 to £13, or it would even go up to $16 if we watched it on their premium screen. I don't know what Y and R are, Kindon. You gotta tell me what that is. Yeah, I don't have time to watch the OG cartoons either. I'm already trying to catch up on some other shows. But I did finish watching The Bad Batch Season 3 about a couple of weeks ago, which was great. I just gotta watch Tales of the Empire now. Eric, which orchestral song do you like better? Avengers or X-Men? X-Men has 3 main themes. In the first X-Men movie, second X-Men movie, and third X-Men movie. They've got 3 different themes, all of which are great. The Young and the Restless. There was a show on that these characters in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends would watch. It was called The Love and the Loveless. You're saying The Young and the Restless. Makes me wonder if that is what they were doing when they gave it that name, I wonder. Let's see. Wow, 50 seasons, 1973. Yeah, there is no way I am going to be watching that. No way, buddy, no way. Jake says, what's the biggest mistake you think the Oscars have made? Or a few, since they've made a lot. They always make mistakes, don't they? I just think their whole show is a mistake. I mean, the shows are boring at the Oscars. You have to be there for 3 hours, and they always, anytime they try to do these comedy bits, like last year, was it last year? When Amy Schumer and a couple of others were going, talking to the audience, and they actually talked to Kirsten Dunst and her husband, who's, what was his name, her husband's name? Kirsten Dunst's husband's name. Name for some reason is Jesse Plemons, where they're trying to do a bit with them. That was just cringe-worthy. So I'd say just the whole show they do is like a big problem. They've not updated it. Even Ricky Gervais was like making fun of how long it was when he goes 3 hours, and then and he talked about how a guy contemplating not committing, I'm not going to say the word because I don't think YouTube likes it, contemplating offing himself. He goes that is more fun than watching this. So that was, yeah, the Oscars, they're really just staying old-fashioned. Another thing that the Oscars have a problem, I think, is that they don't nominate actors like Andy Serkis who do great motion capture work for their performances in, like, the Ape films. That's a big problem to me. The fact that they did not nominate The Dark Knight for Best Picture or Best Director or anything like that, they snubbed it. That's one of the infamous snubs that they're always known for, and that that people never let them live down. Charlton said, this is probably why John Cena went naked this year, just so the Oscars would go viral. Well, the Oscars do have viral moments, but they just are so silly. They also didn't get the 3 Spider-Mans, Tom Holland, Garfield, and Maguire, which is what people wanted. They could have done that. Jake says, I feel like they don't like new upcoming talent. Well, they always like to stay loyal to, like Martin Scorsese's and all those kind of talents. But that's why Christopher Nolan, when he was coming up, even though he was just as talented as them, if not more, I'd say, with The Dark Knight and things, they were ignoring him. Only recently they did, what was it that, only recently for Oppenheimer they started nominating him and they paid attention, so only now he's in the club where they're going to start nominating him for every movie he does. But they ignored him all those other times. Jacob Jean says they see movies like The Dark Knight as funny popcorn movies and not real art. Yeah, well, they're stupid. That's what it says then. Did he? Jacob Jean says, hey, at least Robert Downey Jr. went, you gave the glasses to who? To Tom Holland at this year's Oscars. Did he? Wow, if he did, that would actually have been funny, because it means even he's thinking, what the hell did you do? Big Bash. Oh, Big Bash, great to see you here. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy, you are very late. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. So, yeah, you are late, sorry, but my day has been good. It's been a tiring day, but it's been good. The G-Gamer says, can I ask, for whenever you go to a movie theatre, do you sneak in snacks in the theatre or just eat before you go? I've done a bit of everything. I've gone in and I don't sneak any snacks in, believe it or not. I've always just had them visible and they never question me or say you can't take that in. And I just walk in with them. Lately, I've been doing this thing where I walk in and I bring a shawarma wrap in a bag, a carrier bag. And I have a drink in there as well, which I get from Poundland, a pound shop. Usually it's a bottle of water. I get my ticket and I go in. And they've not said anything. A couple times I'll hide something. Like if I can, I've got a big coat. I'll get like a bottle. And I'll put it in my coat or something, and I'll do that just in case on the off chance. But it's never been an issue for me, ever. Luckily. Maybe it's because the theatre that my theatre is in the city centre. Is in like the town where you got all these supermarkets and stores. So maybe they think, well, a lot of people are going to be shopping, and then they'll come watch a movie, and then they'll leave. So maybe they think that. Maybe that's why I'm lucky, because I've not gone straight into like a dedicated cinema and done that. I've just done it into the cinema that's in, in town. My favourite X-Men movie, Saeed, is Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past or Logan. It's always a toss-up between the two. Adam Grunther has given a $2 super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Adam, like you guys all know, these super chats help a great deal. Thoughts on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? I don't know if I'll do the Versus video. I wrote quite a lot of the script, but I do need to go back to watch the first movie again, which is something I got to do to write the rest. We'll see what I do. I was not a fan. I liked for part of the film, and then I thought there's a point where it was just going downhill, and there was one subplot which I thought was just a full rip-off of a romantic subplot that was in Casper. Except in Casper, it made sense. Here, they reversed it, and they took out all the development, all the charm, and then tried to act like this is what we're doing. And it made no sense. It was just... It was very much put a chick in it and make her gay. It was like that kind of thing. But then Hollywood, they don't have the guts to go through with it, even though they tried to introduce it, so they tried to pull it back and not go all the way. But I was like, why is there a romance here? This romance is so silly. So yeah. Gary Loke. Oh, great to see you here, Gary. He says, what do you think of Legend of Korra? I like it. I really like it. But it was always painful to watch because I always felt sad that, you know, Aang and the other characters were not there anymore. That always made me feel sad. But I do like it. I even make a mention of it in my Avatar The Last Airbender Versus video. A quick mention of Korra, which I was re-watching the whole entire show again. So, yeah. Big Bash says, I listened to your Spider-Man Versus videos while doing cardio at the gym. Oh, cool. I'm sorry I didn't have a live stream for you ready there. You could have listened to that as per usual during the stream at the gym. Jess says, Eric, if you had a monkey in a box like Caesar, just like in Rise, at your house, would you take care of him until he becomes a ruler? No, I just take care of him, because Caesar seemed like such a great... I know they're saying he's not a pet, but that's what he was at the beginning. He just seemed like such a nice companion to have in the house. Like, he was really... He just seemed nice in Rise, the life that he had in James Franco's house. That was very poignant, I thought. Okay, guys, in 15 minutes we'll end the stream, because then it'll have been 2 hours. Jacob Jean says, I'm LGBT+, and I highly dislike the underdeveloped relationships in Hollywood movies, and they try to make it a big part of a movie like Ghostbusters. Yeah, but in Ghostbusters, in the second one, the one that came out recently... The whole problem with Ghostbusters that people had with Afterlife, the previous one, and I would say with this one, is that there are too many characters. So rather, what I would have done was develop the characters that they had, but instead they introduced a new character and tried to create a romantic subplot out of it, which made no sense. That was such a bizarre thing, and then when they tried to make it seem like it was working, like it was a romantic relationship, I was like, you've not built this up. If anything, you've deprived the other characters of development, and now you're trying to spend a lot of time on this pointless romance subplot, which wasn't needed. You could have accomplished what they had to accomplish without that. Mutail, I'm sorry, but that was just what I thought of the movie. Like I say, it doesn't matter if you or anyone else has those thoughts. You know, if you like the movie, it's always great. I have no problem with that. But for me, I just really couldn't get on with that film. It did a lot of the things that I did not like in Into the Spider-Verse, but they were there in a smaller degree. They were there on full display in TMNT Mutant Mayhem. That's why I didn't like it. Big Bash says, Eric, when will you drop the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes versus video? I'm not doing a versus video, I'm doing a review of it, like I did for War of the Planet of the Apes. The versus video that's coming out is going to be the Avatar The Last Airbender Netflix versus animated show. That's going to be my next versus video. Jake says, who said it was a romance? It could have been just close friendship. I don't know. Tell me you didn't see that was a relationship. That was so obviously a relationship that they were doing. Why would she... I'm sorry, I'm going to have to mention a little bit of spoilers here, but I'm not going to give context. Just for those that know about it, why would that character turn into a ghost just so they could interact with the other character unless it was meant to be a romantic gesture? That was not a friendly gesture. That was a romantic gesture so they could both touch. And, you know... What does that mean? The way they were setting it up, it was like... Because even the character said stuff like romantic, like cheesy romantic dialogue that we hear in these movies, which is where, I don't like how my family does this. And then the other one says, yeah, I don't like when people are... I don't like when this happens too. And then the other one says, no one's understood me before. It's like, tell me that's not romantic dialogue. That's where they're trying to set it up like that. A friendship would have been better. Because I don't like the idea of the humans and ghosts having a relationship in the Ghostbusters movies, quite frankly. That, to me, is just a line I don't like crossed. I think they should have stuck with, like, what The Conjuring could have done. Like, how in The Conjuring they always focus on evil ghosts. But apparently in The Conjuring, if you listen to what the real stories were, the real stories of The Conjuring, like in the first movie, they say there were nice ghosts there as well. So I would say that Ghostbusters can do something with nice ghosts, but ghosts that talk to you like as if you're just a normal person and then potentially get into romance and all that is just silly. But that's how I saw it. I did see it as a romance, personally. That was another thing, Adam Grunther. Adam Grunther says, I will say that I really liked that actress. She was delightfully unhinged in The Babysitter, Killer Queen. She was, but she was also... Jake, you don't sound dumb. Don't call yourself that at all. You don't sound dumb. I'm just saying, I saw it as a romance. That's what it seemed to me like what they were trying to do. I will say, but yeah, you said that Jake, Adam says, I will say that I really liked that actress. She was delightfully unhinged in The Babysitter, Killer Queen. But that was a problem for me, because she was also in Doctor Sleep, and she was a right horrible character in that. So I was rooting for her to be offed in that film. But yeah, for seeing her in those two movies, she's kind of almost like got this reputation of being like a crazy, evil character in these movies. So when I was seeing her as a ghost in that Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I was looking at her and I was like, is that who I think it is? Because the ghost filter sometimes makes it a bit hard to see in the new hairstyle. When I found out it was, I was like, first of all, ew, because she keeps playing evil characters, it's hard for me to see her as anything else now. It's that kind of thing. And she does it very well. But the second thing, I was like, she's played villains in the last two movies I've seen her in. She's going to be playing a villain here as well. And then as the movie goes on, you get what happens, and I was like, I feel like that was a miscast. Because it kind of told me something before the character even really got started. And yeah, that was... Yeah, I just didn't like that whole subplot, though. That whole subplot, to me, just felt like... I was thinking, you've got a ton of characters, including that kid, was it his name Podcast, that Asian kid? That, the main character girl, that's, Spengler's, not Spengler. Basically the granddaughter. She was supposed to be having, like, a fun friendship with, Podcast, I think his name was, in the first movie. I wanted to see their relationship continue to develop, but it didn't. Instead, they just spent time with this other ghost girl character. I was like, why are you wasting time with that character on a subplot which is not even good? And then when Podcast did show up, he always was acting like a goofball, like he was just a dumb comic relief, whereas in the first movie, I felt like he had more character to him. So they should have given him more character, but instead, they just made him a dumb comic relief, and they gave him no development, really. So I thought that was disappointing. Mutail, no, not every comic movie needs to be serious for me to like it. But there's movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 I really liked. I like the Suicide Squad. You can make goofy, silly movies, like even Deadpool did it, but you gotta make sure that you've got like an emotional grounding to it. And a lot of the Marvel movies just don't have that. It feels like they just prioritize the comedy over what should the more serious elements of the story, which is the character development. You know, the emotionality of what is going on with the characters. They just dumb it down and just interrupt it and cut it off with some dumb, silly humor that's not even funny. That's my problem. Gary Loke says, what do you think of the relationship at the end of Legend of Korra? Well, a lot of people, not just myself, was like, oh, how did that happen? Was that what was happening here? Because girls are closer in terms of friendship than guys are. So when they, have laughs and things, it's just, you think that's just what a friendship between two girls is like. I didn't think it would be a romantic thing. And when it happened, I was like, huh? And then it just panned the camera up and it said the end. And to end the show on a huh is not a good way to end. And I was thinking, poor Mako. Do you know how they always say it's very awkward to see your ex-girlfriend talking with another ex-girlfriend? Well, what happens if those two ex-girlfriends are now going out together? That's a whole other level of awkward, which I don't think we've tapped into in romantic comedies or relationships in movies or anything. And I was like, shoot, I feel sorry for Mako. That must be really awkward. It's awkward for someone's ex-girlfriend to go out with anyone. But what if that ex-girlfriend goes out with your other ex-girlfriend now? How awkward is that? That is like whole other whole other levels of awkwardness that is just unlocked that we had never even thought were possible before. Yeah, the scenes with Peck, Adam Grunther, I did like those. Especially the scene at the end, right at the end, when he was kind of caught in a little public scenario where he wanted to sound good, but at the same time he wanted to bash them. I liked that. The villain, I like the villain in that Ghostbusters movie as well, that new one. But that romance, that subplot felt like wasted time to me. Alpha says, when are you going to do the How to Train Your Dragon Versus video? I said, when I get 100 patrons. Right now I've got people that are like just getting updates on my Patreon, so like 150. But I meant like an actual 100 patrons. Right now I've got about 50 of them. So once we get to 100, then I'll do the How to Train Your Dragon Versus video. Or if someone goes to Patreon and commissions the video, I'll do it then as well. Then I'll also do it, Alpha. Jacob Jean says, wait, which movie were you just talking about, Eric? First I was talking about Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. Then I was talking about The Legend of Korra and its finale. What's the most overrated movie? Mine's Titanic. I see no reason to like Rose, and it gets praised for many elements others get criticism for. The plot is absent. It's interesting to see it sink, though. I actually liked Titanic, personally. Music was great in it, too. And yeah, the craft of the whole sinking was also really good. I personally liked the development of the characters. It kind of shows the character of Rose, who's like a free spirit, basically being born into this royalty family, essentially, who has to act very proper and everything. But she wants to explore the world and be more free, and I liked how they showed that. Mutail says only Ragnarok does that. I wouldn't say only Ragnarok does that. I think there's others that have done it better than Ragnarok. But Ragnarok had moments, but it didn't stick. Like, remember when Loki faded away after talking to Thor? That should have been a silent moment there. But instead we had Korg running to the wall and then just kicking it and saying, piss off, ghost. It was out of nowhere. It's like you could have just cut to Thor and looked at his face and just let the silent moment sink in. But they had to put a joke in there, which was silly. They do that a lot. Marvel have. And it's something that they're now being criticised for by pretty much everyone, which is what they're being criticised for with seasons 4 and 5. Jake says, I only saw the pilot of Has Been Hotel. Maybe I'll watch the actual show someday. I've not seen any episodes, but I have seen a trailer. Looks pretty interesting, but it just doesn't look like my kind of thing based on what I've heard it has and stuff, so yeah. Alpha says, have you seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? I have, and my review will be uploaded soon. I just gotta make a thumbnail and publish it, because the video is done. Mutail says, true, the Marvel movies go too far with the humour sometimes, but act like they have no serious scenes is silly. It's not to say they don't have no serious scenes, it's that it doesn't matter if they have the odd one. What matters is that you have to do a good balance of scenes, and it depends on what your story is. But with Marvel, they don't care what the story is, they still shove in a lot of unwanted humour. The Winter Soldier, to me, the first Iron Man, and Captain America the Winter Soldier, and even the first Captain America movie, are prime examples of how Marvel did it best. When they put the humour in, when the serious scenes were there, if they wanted to lighten up the serious scenes with a bit of humour, those are the prime examples of the MCU movies that did it best, where I had no problems with it. But the later ones, they went more on the nose with the comedy. They wanted to like lay it on thick. That's my problem. So if you want to see what I liked in the Marvel movies with the humour, go watch Iron Man 1, go watch Captain America 1, and Captain America the Winter Soldier. I think even Civil War was a good example of what I liked. Might have had a couple jokes I thought didn't really work or whatever, but ultimately that was another example. So there are plenty of examples of the jokes I do like in the MCU, but lately with phases 4 and 5, they have gotten even crazier with the jokes, to the point where it was just too much. Mutail says, even Thor 4, for all this dumb comedy, has serious moments. When Jane tells Thor she has cancer, is played straight. Well, at the beginning of the movie, she's like, well, I have, like, how many phases of cancer? And they made jokes about that. 4. That we know about. It doesn't matter if there's the odd serious scene. then it because they made all the other scenes so silly, the whole movie was so silly. To the even the kid that was held hostage, captured, the Asgardian kid, the one with this very bad special effects face. They kept making jokes then too when the kids were supposed to be captured. It was just ridiculous. It really was. Even Chris Hemsworth recently has said that we've gone too far with that. And even Marvel are saying they're going to make the next one more serious because everyone has basically said they've gone too jokey with it. Doesn't matter if you have the odd serious scene because 99% of the rest of the movie is just silly. Even Russell Crowe I thought would be more serious as Zeus in that film. He could be funny, but then there should be some really serious scenes about it. But he got silly. We thought Korg was going to die, but then he got silly. Like, turns out he was really alive and he got silly. So it's like, what did that serious scene matter then? I can't remember the humor in Shazam 2 now, but I thought the Shazam 2 balanced its tone. So yes, it did have some silly comedy, but it balanced its tone a lot better. In terms of the emotional through line of the movie, it was balanced, I thought. But yeah, I did think that Shazam had more jokes in it than he was supposed to. Alright, Eric, is there any show or movie, Big Bash is saying this, Eric, is there any show or movie you think actually handled gay relationships well? I'm sure there must be, but I can't really think of it right now. The one that comes to my mind that I liked, though, was, I remember the Power Rangers movie. There was a girl that was going through, I think she was the more moody type of character, and she was going through, like, issues. That's what the movie was trying to say. And then when you found out what issues were, that they were, like, like, it was like the gay relationship type thing, like, she was gay and that she... The way they did it there, I thought they tackled it in a way that was actually more realistic and more relatable. And not just in terms of a gay relationship, but in terms of anything that you're probably struggling with. I really liked what they did there. That I remember praising. Mutail, I know, but then why did Korg come right at the end of the scene when Loki had left? Why didn't he come in the middle of the scene? Just either way, write it where Korg does not see that, where he's somewhere else in the room and he doesn't see it, or he thinks, oh, I've seen crazier things in this place, that doesn't bother me. Just don't interrupt a scene that I thought was genuinely good with that dumb joke. Gary Loke says Korra and Mako had no chemistry and Mako should have stayed with Asami. That I agree with. I've always agreed with that. Especially in Season 2 when Korra just got all psycho. Bolin is the only teenager I like because he is not involved in the love triangle and is funny. He is funny, but he does feel like he's supposed to be more like the Korra's version of Sokka. And Sokka was far better. But yeah, Bolin was still funny. Adam Grunther says, I absolutely loved Has Been Hotel. It's like an R-rated Disney show. Every song is absolutely amazing, and the characters are done so well. That being said, I don't think it's your cup of tea. That's exactly why I didn't watch it. It didn't look like it was my cup of tea. I was like, there's certainly an audience for this. I instantly realized that. But for me, I was like, probably not. There's probably other things I would rather want to spend my time watching than this. But the songs, I have heard a bit of the songs. I will tell you, the singing in those songs is far better than the singing I've heard for any of these Disney movies in the last several years. Which is surprising because Disney are the ones that were supposed to... I was listening to this. I was like, these are the level of songs that Disney would usually release. So what have they been doing? How have they been slacking so much? Oh, it's such a shame. Oh, I'm sorry, Adam Grunther. I was scrolling through the comments. I didn't notice you left a super chat. It didn't tell me... wish it told me sooner. But thank you again, Adam, for another $2 super chat. You guys really are so nice with the super chats. What's the greatest Marvel movie in your opinion? Okay, now this is where I need a follow-up question. Do you mean Marvel in general? Or do you mean just the MCU? Or just the normal Marvel? Tell me that and I'll answer your question. Saeed says, imagine making a joke out of cancer. That is effing sick. Yeah, I know. It wasn't tasteful. Big Bash says, as someone whose grandma died from cancer, that joke was ridiculous. That's what my grandmother recently died of. And yes, it was my grandmother that passed away. When I says that we had someone very close to the family that passed away when I was away, you know, from the channel for several days. Yeah, it was my grandmother too. It's from cancer too. I didn't think about that, Big Bash, until you mentioned it. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. But yeah, yeah, it's just a very tasteless joke. It is ridiculous. I'm actually annoyed that they did that joke, the more I think about it. Sorry you lost your job, man. I really am. Saeed says, I had an aunt who has cancer, and that joke is effing insulting. Spirit Hero says, my grandpa had lung cancer and barely pulled through. Joking about it is sick. I know, that's where they should have played it straight, but Marvel being Marvel, and Taika Waititi being Taika Waititi, he had to make a joke about it. It was silly. Mutail says, so you really need them 100% serious to like them, it really sounds. I told you it doesn't need to be 100% serious. Just get a grip on the balance of your tone. Tonal consistency is important in a movie. Whether it's a comedy, whether it's a drama, whether it's a rom-com, whether it's an action movie, whether it's supposed to be an action, comedy, romance like with Deadpool, tonal consistency is very important, and Marvel know nothing about it. The Russo brothers did, but a lot of the other people, maybe they did know it, but Marvel keeps saying, put a joke in here, put a joke in here, put a joke in here. A lot of the jokes they've done, they're not funny lately. I can't say any joke that was funny in these shows that I've been watching or these movies lately. But like I said, watch Iron Man 1, watch Captain America 1, watch Captain America 2, watch Civil War, watch Infinity War. Those movies had a much better grasp of tonal consistency, and they could tell jokes that were funny. But these newer ones, they can't. And I don't appreciate how just because I don't like the jokes in the more recent movies, you're trying to insinuate that. So I get it, you need them to be 100% serious all the time. That's not what I said, and no, that's not what I need it to be. Jake says, you know, for as much as I've criticised the Oscars, I give them credit for this. Both most recent winners were non-Disney animated movies. Before, I felt like they sucked off Disney too much. Yeah, they did, but the whole industry is kind of like waking up to how Disney is failing as an industry, so yeah. Spirit Hero says, hey Eric, last question before I go. What is your favourite horror movie of all time? Mine is Hereditary. Mine is the first Scream movie. I absolutely loved that film. Adam Grunther says, Has-Been's entire cast is made of LGBT characters and is never out of place and all written so well. Oh, I'm really glad. That's very good that there's another good example of it. Adam, I'm looking for your comment saying which Marvel... Oh, Marvel, there we go. Marvel. It can be any movie from a Marvel franchise. X-Men, MCU, even those weird Sony villain... Even those weird Sony villain movies. Though I don't think the greatest Marvel movie is... Although I don't think the greatest Marvel movie is from there. Lol. Yeah. Okay then. Okay, so, it can be any movie from a Marvel franchise. Okay, for me, it's Logan. Logan, to me, is my favourite of the Marvel movies. And, let's see. Yeah, Logan. And if you didn't want me to say Logan, I would say probably Days of Future Past. And then I'm trying to think of some others, because I know I'm probably going to forget some other big hitters. Then I would say the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. That movie had a big impact on me as a kid. So that's what I would say. What about yourself, Adam? What would you say? What is your favourite Marvel movie, your number one favourite? And put your second and third there, just for fun. Big Bash says, may your grandma rest in peace. Thank you, Eric, for offering your condolences. She died January 2013. Oh, 11 years ago. Yeah, well, you're still getting my condolences, so... But yeah, basically, the root of what we were talking about, very bad humor to do a joke about cancer. Mutail says Spider-Man Homecoming balances humor and drama. I would say it didn't. The reason why is because something great about Peter Parker is that with him is that he always puts others before himself with his responsibilities as Spider-Man, to the point that it compromises his normal life. So with the Raimi movies, you would always see that he would put himself, especially in Spider-Man 2, he put himself before everyone else, and he would always be late. Like, he was late for class. He's also late for many other things. Basically, those movies did it very well in terms of how his life is supposed to be. That is Peter Parker. When Stan Lee said he wanted him to be like every other kid who was not rich, who was not this, he had responsibilities, he still had school, and he had traumas and all that. That's what he basically wanted to do with Peter Parker as Spider-Man. But with Homecoming, he never had any of those losses. So he, as Spider-Man, he would be busy doing things, and he would miss out on stuff, but then everything would be okay. He would get everything back. Like when he says, when he came to his school class on that bus, or what, that they were at, the school bus, and Flash said something to him. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. He said something to him like, don't think just because you came back you'll be able to be back on the team. And then the teacher was like, hey, welcome back, Peter. Flash, you're off. Peter's back in. It's like, that's not how it would work. That felt like it was done for the joke, and it wasn't done for the drama. That's what would have happened if it was done for the drama. And then if Flash said something to Peter afterwards. But that wasn't a moment that needed comedy. It just needed drama. And they didn't balance humor and drama. They just gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's not what Peter has. He always suffers when it comes to putting himself as Spider-Man first and Peter Parker second. But yeah, they didn't illustrate any of that in those early Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man 3, they tried to do it, and it was done better, but it felt like, okay, you're doing it now. Could have even been done better, because they still did the joke with Happy and Aunt May as just a summer fling. Imagine actually making an actual, like, relationship there where they could potentially become a family, then Aunt May dies, and then Happy gets arrested, and Peter realizes that this family that he almost had, like, he almost could have had a family again, gone again. Would have been heartbreaking. But no, summer fling. That's what I mean, these jokes are just too silly. Black Panther 1 and 2 balance humor and drama. Not all the way through, but they did it better than a lot of the other Marvel movies. Like when M'Baku was like, oh, are you done? No, are you done? Like, that was silly, that was, I thought. But Black Panther, the first one, did balance it a lot better, though. Yeah, there were a couple scenes, but it was a much better example of balancing the tone well and better. Adam Grant... Yeah, I've already read that. Let's see. Looks like Jake and Noah are both having a conversation about... Sorry, excuse me. Excuse me. It's like Jake and Noah are both having a long, spirited conversation about how much they don't like Titanic. Yeah, Mutail, humor is subjective, but lately Marvel have been criticized for it a lot, so it's becoming a thing where a lot of people are not liking it. Let's see here, let's check. Spirit Hero says, thank you for answering my question, Eric. I have got to go study for exam now. See you next time. No problem. See you next time. Thank you for joining the stream. Mutail, I'm sure there are scenes in Phase 4 and 5 that people found funny. There might be even scenes I found funny in there somewhere. But it did not gel with the whole movie. The movie attached to it was not good either. With a lot of them. Like Ant-Man 3, that was where Kang was supposed to be. And what they did to MODOK, he was just one big joke when he's not supposed to be. Mutail says, people like Mutant Mayhem with how you found the Turtles obnoxious, which they weren't. Well, that's why I said it's just me. I'm not saying, like, worldwide statement. I don't know why any of you like it. I didn't say that. I always say it's always opinion-based, and for me, I did not like that kind of humor. To me, it was too immature and too stoner-based kind of humor, especially what they did with Splinter. Adam Grunther says, Logan for me. Logan for me as well. I was caught off guard when you said you go back with that and Days of Future Past. That's because Days of Future Past was such an emotional movie. It was beautifully done, and it took me back to the old days when they did the intro with the dun 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 dun, dun that music. I was like, it took me right back to when I was a kid, and I don't get that often. And the story was great, the emotion was great, the whole scene with Xavier, young Xavier, getting inside of Logan's head. That whole scene was beautiful, and how Marvel just took it in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and just had Xavier repeat the wonderful line when he goes, just because some people have lost their way, doesn't mean they're gone forever. Beautiful line in the movie, the way it was done, and the way they just took that and just, you know, repeated it in a way in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that did not echo what Charles Xavier did to the previous Doctor Strange, was just really silly. It was like just clumsily thrown in there just as an Easter egg reference to say, yeah, I got that reference, but that's it. Let's see. Oh, Gary Loke has done... Give me a second. Has done a $3 super chat. Thank you very much for that. It says, let's celebrate their 5th super on a live stream. That's your 5th super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much, Gary. I really appreciate that. Jess, if you want me to have a crossover with a Nostalgia Critic, it's only if people ask for that. Otherwise, I don't think that could happen from my end. Which will do better, Sonic 3, Mufasa, or Kraven? Yeah, Kraven's coming out that same month as well, isn't it? Not the same day, but the same month. Sonic 3 is going to knock them all out of the water. It really is. Oh, Jacob, it's been 7 years since you last saw your mother, and she's conquered cancer. Well, I'm so happy for the two of you, and I hope you get to see her more often. Jake, I'm putting bets on Sonic 3 as well. Adam Grunther said, Logan isn't just my favourite Marvel movie, it's my favourite movie, period. My top 3 Marvel movies are Logan, Guardians Vol 2, and X-Men First Class. Oh yeah, X-Men First Class was really good. It's why I want to see the director, Matthew Vaughn. I want to see him come back and do another movie with James Gunn. What was it? He's always good at adapting the Mark Miller stuff. He wanted to do The Authority, James Gunn wanted to do, wasn't it? Well, if he still wants to do that, yeah, Matthew Vaughn is the one to get. I'd like to really see him do that. Mutail Peter does always suffer. That's the story of his life. There are good things that happen, but Holland Spider-Man never suffered in those first 2 movies. Those first 2.5 movies. Even when they found out he's Spider-Man, nothing came of that. And he asked to change his grade. That's why he wanted to have a magician change. All that is stupid. It was ridiculous. But thing is, if you don't agree with that, that's entirely your prerogative. You can disagree. But thing is, I have my opinion, you have yours. That's basically how it is. I think of it that way. Anyway, let's see. Where was another question? A question I just saw here that I was going to answer. Oh yeah, the freaking screaming goats, the kid named Axel. Yeah, that was all stupid. And that was some of the stupid stuff. What about, it's a portable speaker. Then her and Jane were like just dancing around with their, the slow dancing with their necks. It's so silly. And what was her name? The one that Thor's was part of Thor's posse. I can't remember her name. But then when they turned her into a Taika Waititi joke as well, when she goes, "I can go die in Valhalla," then he goes, "You have to die in the battle. You survived." Then she's like, "Oh shit!" Like, it's so silly. Yeah, see you next stream as well, Saeed. Take care. Thanks for joining the stream. Jess says, Eric, when is your birthday? It's June the 10th. That's my birthday, so it's coming up. Yeah, sorry, not change his grade. He wanted to get his friends and him to, well, his friends to get into college. But yeah, he was such a dumb idiot. Especially in the second one, he gave those glasses so easily just because he wanted to go get laid. Like, that Peter was just, I was like, what? They're not writing Peter Parker here. They're writing some dumb idiot. Yeah, Gregory, yeah, Guardians 3 was really good. Yeah, that line wasn't a joke. I'm not saying it was a joke in Doctor Strange 2. I'm saying it was poorly used. It was just an Easter egg, a silly reference. Yeah, the Sif part, that was her name. Yeah, what they did to her. I was like, how could you take her? She was such a great character. Even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., she was there. She was cool. And it took her... That was a TV show. And it took a movie to just... A Taika Waititi movie to turn her into a Taika Waititi character. Like a joke. It was so silly. Yeah, the ending of Flash was a joke. It was silly as well. Oh wow, look at that, we've been going over time. Guys, I'll give you 5 more minutes, so if there's any more questions you have, any more super chats you want to drop, or anything, do it for the next 5 minutes, then I'm going to end the stream. Well, Peter should know to trust people. Should know not trust people so easily. That he only knew the guy for like less than a day or something. A lot of people said it. It felt like the writing just dumbed him down just so they can get the plot going. Yeah, it is Q&A time, Gregory. No, I've not watched Dune 2 yet. I'm waiting for the 4K Blu-ray to come out. Then I'm waiting for a friend to have it, and then I can probably borrow it off of them. No, he gave them back to... Mutil, he gave the glasses back to Mysterio just because he ultimately wanted to go and spend time with MJ. That's what I meant when I said he wanted to go and get laid. He wanted to basically just go with a girl. He was ducking his responsibilities, which Peter would never do. He would normally duck his Peter Parker life for his Spider-Man life, and this Peter was never wanted to do that. It was all about him just trying to get with MJ, and they both liked each other, and they were trying to put in that guy in the middle, which was like, what was the point of that? It was so silly. And what was the point of the guy doing the finger thing? Even in the first one, MJ did it to him as well. It's like the director really likes having people pointing the finger for some reason. It's like a thing he likes to do. Jess says, Eric, have you watched Prey? Is it better than the Predator movie? It is better than The Predator, but I wasn't a big fan of Prey, personally. Yep, Peter was. He was thinking with his package rather than his brain. Big Bash said it in the most PG way ever. So yeah, that's what Peter was doing. Yeah, Noir, it fits MCU Peter to be naive, but not freaking stupid. There's a difference between naive and stupid. and giving like something that Tony Stark gave. He goes, of course, the reason Stark gave it to me was so I can give it to someone else. I was like, that's not naive. That is just being stupid. That is trying to say, I don't want to bother with this. Someone else, here, you take it. I want to go and try, like I said, try to get laid. That's basically what it was. That's literally what he was going on about. Of course, the reason Stark gave me with this was I can give it to someone else. Someone better. Stupid. We know, he's supposed to know Stark better than we do, technically, in terms of how the relationship between the two is. And even I knew that's not what Stark wanted when he gave him those glasses. It was so silly. He thought Beck would be a worthy successor to Tony. That just shows me he really is stupid. Yeah, Big Batch, Tony is stupid for trusting Peter with such serious tech, because Peter is such a moron, this Peter. It's only because Peter was trying to, like I said, he just wanted to do, like, leave all his responsibilities, leave everything, just so he could go try to hook up with MJ. That was literally it. He wanted to get rid of everything else, all other distractions, just so he could do that. So that's what it was. There was no thinking behind it. It was very much, I want to quickly get back to that, my girlfriend. Who's not a girlfriend, but want her to be, you know, that thing. And he suddenly liked her at the beginning of the movie, even though he wasn't even paying attention to her in that first one. It was such a weird, abrupt thing when they did that. What song, Jake? You know what song I like? Can I Call You Tonight by Dayglow? I don't know. You guys know I'm not really much of a songs guy. I like certain songs, but I'm primarily more into my music. Okay, we got 30 seconds left, guys. About a minute left. Any like I said, super chats you want to do? Any questions you want to ask me? Ask me them now, and then I'm gonna end the stream. Eric, do a versus video on the Batman and Robin. No, there's no need for that. I don't want to put myself through Batman and Robin again just for that. If you want to commission it on Patreon, by all means, but otherwise, no. Mutail, he didn't care about anything. He just cared about going back to MJ. That's all he cared about in that moment. Well, that whole movie. It was just him trying to get it on with her. It felt like he was just trying to because even when Nick Fury was trying to get him to do missions, it felt like he was just hot. He wasn't even fully in it because he wanted to just get back to MJ. That's not Spider-Man. Peter Parker is someone who Bart says Peter is a simp. Is simp the word that I'm looking for? Peter is not a simp, but Peter is someone who is raised better, or at least at his core is better than what he was in there. And I thought that was just very bad development. I know Tom Holland can play a great Spider-Man, a great Peter Parker. He's a great actor, but the writing, I just cannot defend the writing for his character. I thought it was very bad. Big Bash, that is a big question for the right, and considering I'm going to end the stream, that's not one I can answer right now. Mutail, you're not a troll. I'll say you're not a troll. We are having disagreements, but like I said, this channel is a safe place for everyone. Just because you have an opinion on a movie doesn't mean if that opinion is completely different to mine, that I'm going to see you in a negative light. I don't. Like I said, everyone's opinions are respected here, so I'm not going to say, oh, you're stupid or you're a troll or something for having that opinion. I wouldn't say that. But these are my thoughts when I watch the movie and how I judge the character based on my knowledge of the character of Spider-Man and my expectations for him. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes, and the reason why is because of how he's been developed. There is a maturity to him. He's different from the other kids. Marvel just turned him too much into a Nickelodeon kid, I feel. Less like a Spider-Man, less like a Peter Parker. And I saw a problem with that. But like I said, we all have different opinions. If you have your different opinion as well, that's perfectly fine. I respect yours, just so long as you respect mine in the end. Like I said, this channel is a safe place for everyone. There are other channels that don't do that, but I do, so... See, that's good, Saeed. That's nice that you're apologizing. Sorry, Jess. It's not actually... I wouldn't do that much. I like to not share everything. So you get to see this room. You might get to see certain locations if I'm filming in there, but otherwise, no. Rohan, what are you saying? See my comment. Where was your... What do you dislike? What do you dislike the MCU Spider-Man trilogy? Because there's the development of Peter in the 3 movies, I feel like, has just barely moved the needle whatsoever, personally. That's why. Whereas if you look at Peter Parker and, say, Maguire Spider-Man, just look at the first Spider-Man movie, where he was at the beginning when he's chasing that bus, versus the end of the movie when he's walking away from Mary Jane in that graveyard. That was a transformation, and it felt earned. But with Marvel, their Spider-Man trilogy, it felt like from the beginning of the movie to the end, he wasn't that much different. It doesn't feel like he grows as much as I think you should for a superhero movie. It feels like a chapter of a book rather than the whole book, which I don't like how Marvel have done that. You can make a chapter, but it still has to feel like a whole book. Like, that's what the Captain America movies felt like. They were a chapter, like the first Captain America and the first what was it, and the Winter Soldier. They were chapters, but they felt like full movies. Actually, no, I wouldn't even say they're chapters. They did feel like full movies. But Marvel, with these other characters, feels like they don't want to develop them too much because they say, we've got to make 6 other movies to develop them. So we don't want to develop them all in this one. But it's like, just give them as much development that is necessary and natural for that movie, and then develop them more as it goes. But it feels like they keep withholding developments because they want to develop them more 10 movies down the line. And that's something I don't agree with them. Anyway, guys, I think that's basically about it. So, I think that's about it. I think it's been a 2.5 hour stream. I thought it was going to end at 2 hours, I said, but then we had an extra half hour. So, yeah, the questions came in. The super chats really did come in as well, which was very nice. So, again, thank you, all of you, so much. I want to tell you guys that I have got YouTube memberships coming up soon. So for those of you that don't want to go to Patreon, there's a lot of you that say you don't want to sign up for Patreon personally. Well, then you'll be able to get trailer reactions on my YouTube memberships and early access to content on my YouTube memberships and the game show on my YouTube memberships as well. And I am planning to work on the game show and release my first episode soon. So definitely YouTube memberships and Patreon is somewhere you'll want to go if you want to have extra content in that way. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support. I really enjoy these live streams with all of you, including you, Mutail. Even though we had disagreements, I'm glad to see you on a stream for the first time. And, yeah. I will, getting exhausted because it's approaching 12 o'clock, midnight right now. And, yeah, I'm going to get ready to go to bed now. So, thank you all very much for joining me. I had a really wonderful time. I hope you guys had a great time, too. Stay tuned for my future videos, including my Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review and my Avatar The Last Airbender Versus videos. And I will catch all of you very, very soon. Take care.